Time now for Labor Press, your source for daily labor news and industry information. Hear discussions on the workplace and interesting talk from prominent and influential personalities in the labor community. And now your hosts, Neil Tippel and Bill Holfeld.
Power without accountability. Are you listening? No power without accountability.
Welcome to Labor Press, Blue Collar Buzz, the show that tells the story about everyday workers. I'm your host, Neil Tippel, co-host Bill Holfeld, producer Joe Maniscalco. And Joe, who's with us?
Well, we got somebody else here in the studio that's a pretty interesting guest, if I'm not mistaken.
We also have a crusader for a different cause.
A crusader.
We have Ray Rogers of the Corporation Campaign, and he's a staunch critic of the Real Estate Board of New York, REBNY, and he's actually helped put together a new animation that's getting a lot of attention.
And I saw it. It's incredible. Ray, welcome to the program. I watched your animation, and as Joe put it, just put it out there. It's incredible. It's just so brilliantly done. What is it? And it's not that long, right? It's what, 3-4 minutes?
No, it's about 5 minutes long.
Minutes.
It's called Bullies.
Bullies.
And what we call is the Real Estate Board of New York really should be called the Real Estate Bullies of New York, ravaging every borough of New York City.
Okay, now I know for a fact, Ray, there's a lot of people out there. We're playing a little bit of inside baseball here.
Sure.
There's a lot of people out there don't really understand who REBNY is and what they do. So why don't you fill our listeners in on that?
Well, they're probably the most powerful political lobby in the state, and their destructive policies increase four things that we focus on: political corruption, the homelessness crisis, small business closures, and the construction work fatalities. Now, why do I say that? Well, everybody knows about what they call dirty money in politics. That's REBNY money. And what that money does is it keeps, the prices, first of all, it does a number of things. Number one, it keeps the prices of real estate way up there. And what this causes is a lot of homelessness. People that even work in 1 and 2 jobs, they can't afford to live in apartments in this city. Number two, small businesses are closing down. They can't get affordable leases so that they can have, their businesses and have some kind of stability. I would consider it a small business, and my landlord was Wallentis. They doubled my rent, so I got out of Dumbo real quick. But, when I look at a guy like Jeb Wallentis, one of the things that we're doing is, in the film you mentioned called Bullies, we try to explain what the Real Estate Board of New York is doing. And if you want to see Bullies, you can go to our website, stoprebnybullies.org. There you can watch this 5-minute animated film. But we also have a brochure, a 4-page brochure that we're distributing throughout the city. And the title is Beware of REBNY Real Estate Bullies Plaguing New York.
And I've read that leaflet cover to cover, Ray, and I got to tell you, there's some pretty shocking stuff in there, not just about Wallentis, but about the Spire organization as well.
Right. Rob Spire, who's the chairman of REBNY and the head of Tishman Spire, along with his dad, Jerry Spire. The brochure focuses on them, as well as Jed Wallentis of Two Trees Management in Brooklyn. It focuses on Gary Barnett, and he's the one, by the way, who set up the poor doors. He thought that people, when they built, had affordable housing in some of these expensive condominiums, that the people who are in the affordable housing should have special entrances. Well, fortunately, the city outlawed that. But that's something that Gary Barnett brought to the table.
Ray, it's only right? Like, if you don't have a lot of money, there's no way you should be allowed to use the same door as people that are wealthy, right?
And that's a pretty sad thought, but that's the way these people think. Now, he's the head of Exdell Development Company. Now, you got another guy who we focus on in brochure, Daniel Brodsky. He's well known for being a slumlord. Now, I should add that these people I'm talking about, Rob Spire, Jed Wallentis, Gary Barnett, and Daniel Brodsky, they're all members of REBNY's executive board. So these are the highest policymakers of REBNY, and they're stealing this city blind. They're causing so much harm on millions of people in the city, not just the unions, the construction unions, but the renters, both the residential tenants as well as the small businesses that they're putting out a business with these high rents.
So let me get this straight. Just get a synopsis on this. So we have an organization, okay, that is run, owned, and operated by billionaires that gets wealthier every year, and in their quest for incredible wealth, what they're doing is they are lowering the wages of construction workers, raising the rent of ordinary everyday people, and putting small businesses out of business.
Yes, and they back this up with a lot of the dirty money going into the city council races and the state races to buy whatever favors they can get. Let me tell you one of the favors they get. On affordable housing, they get $1.4 billion a year in tax abatements. That's corporate welfare. Now, there's a big fight about...
Now, this is the same. This is the very same affordable housing that they swear they can't afford to build union because union workers cost too much money, right?
That's right. And they shouldn't have to pay the prevailing wage. They shouldn't have to share any of that tax money with anybody other than the billionaires. I raise an issue. Why do billionaire developers deserve 1 penny of corporate welfare or tax abatements? Why?
There's no intelligent answer to that question.
That's right. And why do we have over 60,000 people in homeless shelters, probably 100,000 people in the city who are homeless, when we're giving billionaires our tax money? There's no sense whatsoever. And let me tell you what these REBNY people do, these billionaires. They give these politicians lots of money. The dirty money in politics is called bribes to give them what they want. It's pretty cheap. A politician who wants to get reelected wants money for the campaigns. REBNY people go in there, they give them these big donations, but what do they get in return? They get hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate welfare in return. So it goes well for the politicians, it goes well for REBNY. They do well, the rest of the city loses.
All right, now, Ray, can we name names? What politicians are we talking about? Who's on the take?
Well, there's so many of them that I can't begin to list them, okay? But let me tell you, there are a lot of them.
But we got to have a wall, Ray. We got to have a wall of shame. We got to make it public. We got to have their name. We got to have their names and letters that are 16 feet high, and let everybody in this city know who's taking.
I know something. We do have to know that. But we also have people have to understand who are the financial powers behind REBNY. What are the big financial institutions that are so corrupt that are helping to set REBNY's policies, okay, and are behind the financing of all the non-union construction? We have to know who they are, and these are some big financial institutions. Why don't we talk about J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, some of the most corrupt financial institutions on the face of this planet?
Well, aren't those the same guys that we just bailed out in 2008? Didn't we just give them like billions of dollars out of our taxpayer pockets?
We sure did. They're like REBNY billionaires. They steal billions. They corrupt our political system. They get involved in illegal activity, and they come out of it squeaky clean.
So how are we going to fix this, Ray? Obviously,
hold on. So before we get to the fix, as heinous and shameful as the money and the bribery and all that is, it's also about safety, Ray. Talk more about that. We've had the deaths of over 30 construction workers, mostly non-union construction workers, over the last 24, 28 months. Before we have about 3 minutes left, let's get into the safety. What's the correlation between REBNY and construction site safety?
Well, first of all, in the last 2 years, 29 of 31 deaths on construction sites are on non-union jobs. And safety has fought the unions all the way. Number one, REBNY wants an open shop. They don't want any unions involved in construction. But there is a hypocrisy here, by the way, Joe and Bill. REBNY is a closed shop. A lot of people don't know this. REBNY is a closed shop. Over 75% of REBNY members are real estate agents, work for these big real estate brokerage firms. They cannot work for these firms if they don't pay big dues money to REBNY. Now, and I have talked to a lot of these real estate agents in the biggest brokerages here in New York City. They hate REBNY. Why are we paying all this money to REBNY? We don't really get anything for it, but if we don't, we cannot work in these big real estate brokerage firms. That's a closed shop. So how hypocritical is it when these big honchos in REBNY talk about we want an open shop? It's terrible that you have to be a member of a construction union that protects your safety, protects wages and benefits, protects your working conditions. When REBNY takes all this money from, by the way, people that don't support REBNY, but they can't work for these big firms if they don't. REBNY is a closed shop, but they want an open shop for workers.
Okay, well, Joe, I got to bring it back, though, because we got to spend, we only got 2 minutes left, so I want to talk, not even 2 minutes. My engineer is signaling me. He's panicking here. We got a minute left, so in that last minute that we got left, tell us what the solution is. Let's put these people on notice. What are we going to do?
Well, we're involved in a campaign right now, and let me say to the labor unions and the tenant organizations and small businesses out there, okay, is that we have a campaign to divide and conquer REBNY. We can diminish the power of REBNY. In fact, I believe we could make REBNY an institution that you would not recognize what it is today. But I need the support of every labor union out there, not just the building trades, but others. The building trades can lead a movement here that will not only help 100,000 construction workers in the city and protect them, it'll start building the construction labor movement where we have 100% people in construction, members of labor unions. But they can also help the tenants, all the tenants, many of which are their members, and they can help the small businesses. By the way, there's an act called the Small Business Job Survival Act. Labor unions should be on board and protecting these small businesses.
Before we go, just let people know where they can see REBNY Bullies in the theater.
They can go to a theater at Penn South, 343 8th Avenue, between 26th and 27th Streets in Manhattans. This will be the sixth showing of Bullies. We also had,
what's the date?
The date is Tuesday, May 23rd, 6 p.m.
Okay, we got to leave it there, Ray. I want everybody to go see that film, REBNY. You're on notice. Ray is coming. He's going to get you. And we will be right back in just a moment with more good talk right here on Labor Press's Blue Collar Buzz at our home at AM 970, The Answer.